Welcome to the Startup Grind.
Because everyone has come from a diverse background, I would say, where some are students, they came to start their first startup. Some are people who already have things and they just want to know how to scale up more. And someone has ideas but he wants to know how to market it out to the world. So I think we are all geared up for a great session here. And let's take a minute and get it started. Speak about Startup Grind as we start, and then we'll start some questions. So Startup Grind, as you are here today, is part of the global community Startup Grind. This is the Startup Grind Pune chapter, and I take care of the Pune chapter of Startup Grind, where we basically work on growing the startup ecosystem of our city. And how we do it is connecting other entrepreneurs and giving everyone a chance to learn from each other. So we have tried to create a platform where we invite successful entrepreneurs every month, and we give a chance to everyone else, interact with them, learn from them, understand what worked for them, what did not work for them, so that they can go back and work on their own ideas to be successful. So that's the motive behind Startup Grind. And we have been doing this every month. Every last Saturday of the month, we have been hosting a Startup Grind session at this venue since about a year. And we have hosted a lot of different startups like Tasty Khana. We have hosted Auto Wale. A lot of familiar faces I also see who have been coming to these sessions regularly. And coming to today, I think I have a very special guest today, Samir. So the day I came across Samir's profile, and I was not sure he was in Pune or in California currently. So I had my stakes lined up. I thought, let's just try and find out if it's a possibility to be able to host Samir. And to be honest, he has been the most humble. So he has been really very cooperative in arranging the whole thing, and in taking out the time that I had to meet him and tell him about the concept. So he has definitely taken out a lot of time, a lot of attention to this event. So I believe we all have a great stage today to interact with Samir and take learnings from him. So with that said, I'll start the session and I'll start grinding. So Samir, to start with, we usually start in a chronological manner. So we'll come to your current startup eventually, but we'll start from where it all started. So would you like to give a brief background about your background and you studied where, your alma mater, what were your experiences there, and eventually how you took one step at a time to from where did you go and what was your first startup? Easy thing.
I graduated from IIT Kanpur in 1990. And at that time, I took the traditional route that a lot of the people at that time did, where we didn't have too many opportunities in India. So I went abroad to do my master's and graduated from the University of Washington in Seattle. After that, I worked at Sun Microsystems for 3 years because at that time I had absolutely no idea. I just wanted to get the first job that came my way at that time. So that was very exciting. But that landed me in Silicon Valley, which is definitely one of the most dynamic places in terms of ideas, startups, and so on. And I was there for about 3 years. And I used to, even in those times, that was the time when Netscape was actually just starting out. 1994, we had first heard of HTTP and HTML browsers and things like that. So it was very exciting. Before we used to do FTP and Gopher, run these Unix commands. So it was a very exciting time, and we were talking to a lot of people. So at that time, I did not have a very clear idea what I wanted to do, but I thought something's got to be done. We've got to do something on our own. So I spent about 3 years at Sun, and then I started my first company called I2P. So we started off I was a semiconductor, I was one of the processor designers at Sun Microsystems, so that was the in thing to do at that time. And that's basically what I did when I started a company in the semiconductor space called I2P. And essentially, the problem we were trying to solve was very simple. You go to your phones, you have that USB port. Right? So imagine everybody in the every chip has a USB port and they try to build it all themselves, then that's very wasteful. So what we did was, on a semiconductor chip, we built part of that where people could drop in a USB interface. Right? So that's what we started off with, and that version into what was called the semiconductor IP industry, where people suddenly started building blocks. So for example, if you're familiar with the ARM processor, that's an embedded processor. That actually started with the same concept, a slightly more advanced version, where not everybody needs to build a processing engine. You just drop it in and build the chip, and only add the value around it. So I kind of started off by starting I2P, and because we moved away from services into a product, that's the reason why a company called Lattice Semiconductor in Oregon bought us in about 1998. And again, 98 was the time when Google started as well. So at that time, I had another idea called Wongo. So whenever you go on the Chrome browsers or Firefox, it always tells you want me to remember your login ID and password, right? So we had actually recognized the problem back in 1998, saying there are going to be literally hundreds of passwords and you cannot remember them all. So we actually invented, so I and my co-founder actually have a patent for that single sign-on technology. Later it was bought by AOL, taken into Netscape. I mean, a lot of things happened, so it has now become an open standard. But that was an exciting idea as well, because I mean, that was a problem that we wanted to solve. And that company eventually got bought by AOL, and they then subsumed the technology into the browsers as a standard. So that's what happened, and after that I had a brief interaction with a company called Index Systems, which I co-founded. Again, they were building DDR3 memory controllers. So if any of you open up your notebook, there are these DDR3 RAMs. So the drivers for that and the technology, drop-in technology for that was actually pioneered by us. So it was the fastest DDR memory controller at the time. And that company was eventually bought by Synopsys. So that was my stint in the US, and at that time, for personal reasons, I was just itching to come back home. No reason. I mean, everything was going well. People were asking me why, and I said, why not? So at that time in 2003, I decided to come back to India, and I teamed up with one of my classmates from IIT Kanpur. His name is Praveen Bhagwat. So he was one of the pioneers in long-distance Wi-Fi. So using Wi-Fi for long-distance calling, that is what he was experimenting back in IIT Kanpur in 2003. And we spun out of that and we created a company which today is the category leader in cloud Wi-Fi. So imagine a secure cloud Wi-Fi. If you want a fully managed Wi-Fi access point, you can take it and drop it into literally an internet port, and you can manage it online, right? And if you have thousands of access points, all of them will automatically be visible to you and you can manage them, the policies and things like that. So Airtight today is about 300 people, about 250 are here in Pune. So again, we managed to build a lot of intellectual property here. About 50 to 60 people are in the US. And it goes Taco Bell, Pepsi, all the stores you will see there, Pinkberry, you will see them. Pentagon uses Airtight technology, CIA uses Airtight technology. So that was the evolution, and Airtight grew to a point where it was actually running by itself, and I'm a small company guy. I like to kind of start things on the ground. I get bored and things get too big. So that's when I transitioned out and I started ShopSocially. And ShopSocially's basic idea is word of mouth is very, very important. Right? Today, most of the marketing, I mean, if you are looking for a doctor, if you're looking for a product, you typically ask your friends, "Hey, what did you use?" Right? So what we thought, is there a way to formalize that and use technology to increase the spread of any brand, any business by word of mouth? That was the original idea. At this point of time, we create social referral and loyalty solutions for businesses. So that has been kind of my journey, a little bit haphazard sometimes, but sometimes also very interesting getting to learn things.
So, like talking more about ShopSocially. So, would you like to tell more about what you're exactly solving in the social commerce space? And I think that's pretty exciting times, for social commerce space with all these e-commerce and people transiting to the buying online stuff. So, how does it fit in, and how does it help the different companies?
Sure. So again, think about any business. Referrals can often be the third largest traffic driver behind SEO and SEO. Right? It simply makes sense. Most people ask their friends and say, "What did you buy? Which phone did you buy?" We do it for everything. Right? So referral is one component which we are really trying to hammer home. And we are trying to create programs so that each business does not have to build its own referral program. Right? You can simply take our program, drop it in, and it gets going. That's one thing we are trying to do. The second thing we are realizing, especially in today's world where the customers have too many options, for a business, loyalty of a customer is very important. Can you get the customer to buy from you again and again, rather than just flipping around for deals, right? So those are the two main problems that we are trying to solve, and social is one of the enablers of solving this problem. So that's what we're trying to do.
Right. Okay, so given that you saw on ShopSocially that there are a gamut of different products that basically you provide, like different things that people can do. So, would you like to share something about on the lines that if something really works for for a certain sort of website or something that you thought that would not be as effective, and then eventually found out that okay, this is something that really gives results to a lot of startups?
So again, one of the areas where we were really skeptical, we started off in the online retail space, where that made the most sense. I mean, people are constantly buying stuff, and that made a lot of sense. We were not really sure how it would work in, let's say, a B2B space or a non-profit space. And that is an area where we are still experimenting, because that is something that every business must do. But that has kind of worked. We were expecting much better results from it, especially in the B2B space. But somehow, I think in the B2B space, people use technology less, and they prefer to talk about it rather than actually forward it on their social networks or their LinkedIn networks. So in the B2B space, we haven't had as much success as we thought we would.
And you as startup, you'd like to know when you started ShopSocially, how did you got your first clients, and how did you actually started the marketing? I think the irony has been, how do you market a product that is for marketing?
A good PowerPoint helps. So that's definitely the case. So typically, I mean, since this is now my fifth startup, it does become easier for me because I've already had prior contacts in the industry, and there are people who would sometimes just trust me as a person rather than the product I'm building and assume that it will be a decent product. So that is a benefit that I get. But for people starting out their first company, I mean, getting your first few customers is always the hardest, right? But it's also a lot more fun because you're always trying to be very creative. You're trying to build a vision. You're trying to build a PowerPoint, an idea which communicates the two things. One is the value, and second is the trust. That will the customer benefit from it, and can they trust doing business with you? So I think while the product is being built, it is very, very important to start selling it. I mean, you don't have to wait until the product is completely built, but you have to start selling it in advance. Right? And the simple reason is you get quick feedback. This works, I value this, I don't value this. Or this makes sense, this doesn't. Right? And that will help you fine-tune your first product. So the way we got first customers, I mean, literally pounding the streets, talking to all the contacts we had from our prior lives, and convincing them that this was a problem that we were solving and would add value to them, either in terms of saving them money or making them money. It's very simple.
Great. I think this is a great advice. Like trust is very, very important for any startup. You should iterate fast, basically.
Yes.
Like you should start marketing from the first day itself. Something that probably we can take away as an audience, because what happens, and it happens with me as well. We keep on building the product without thinking that okay, when do we start marketing? We think that okay, let's build a perfect product first. Then people will come on by itself. But probably that does not happen.
So, one advice that I give everybody, and this is from experience, that initially in the first 3 to 6 months of the product, I would say 70% of the time should be spent building the product. After the first version is out, 70% of the time has to be spent selling the product. Right? Because most people think that मेरे पास ये और एक feature होगा ना तो it will start selling, and it never happens. Right? Because the world does not care as much about our product as we do, and you think that this next thing will just suddenly change everything. It never does. So it is very important to kind of switch that gear and make sure that you're doing that 70-30 split there. Oftentimes, it's what I call polishing a pebble. So you have a nice shiny pebble and you keep polishing it, thinking the shinier it gets, the better it will sell, but still nobody cares. That's typically what happens. And earlier you can actually start marketing or selling the concept aggressively. So your resources, your attention, all of that has to focus on selling or marketing what you built, however rudimentary it might be. That's really what you should do.
First, how did you got your co-founders? And then second, when you're building your team, what do you usually look into, and what kind of people you like working with? So what traits you look when you are hiring as a founder?
So finding a co-founder is extremely hard, right? Because everybody will say, "अच्छा idea है, but मेरे को और 6 महीने बाद खोजना." This is the usual answer I used to get from everybody. No, I have a job, promotion is coming up, maybe I'll think about it in 6 months. So everybody will say it's a good idea, but nobody is willing to take the plunge. It's really, really hard to find a co-founder. The co-founders places where I found them are either, in my cases, it were actually always people I had studied with. So Jay Rawat has been now in 3 companies, and he was 1 year junior to me at IIT Kanpur. He used to stay 2 doors away in the same apartment complex in the Silicon Valley. So there was a sense of trust. We knew each other. He's a godfather to my kids. So there was an inherent sense of trust. And that is very important. I can't be watching my back all the time. In the sense, if something goes wrong, you chhod ke bhi nahi jayega. That is one big worry you have. And you cannot be watching your back at night. So Praveen Bhagwat, again, my classmate from IIT Kanpur, again an innate sense of trust that these guys will be with me all the time, right? Through thick and thin. That is very, very important, that trust factor. The other factor is obviously competency. So I like to find co-founders that are smarter than me. It's always a good idea to work with people who are smarter than you, and in both cases I was very, very lucky. Brilliant guys. It is indeed a pleasure to work with them. And when you talk to them, the brilliance just shines through. It's very obvious. So that's how you find a co-founder. Either it's in a place of work. If you have graduated a long time ago, find people in the place of work who have similar ideas, similar passion, similar initiative, and people you trust. That you work with them, you feel they have a good work ethic, they are very smart, and they will be good co-founders. So that's as far as the co-founder. As far as people I tend to hire in startups, especially when you are at an early stage, I do not like people who will just do what they are doing. Well, it's boring. Because the whole idea is there is so much work to do in a startup that I prefer people who will come in and take the initiative. Right? And it doesn't matter what the degree of the person is. I mean, sometimes the degree tells you what the person is capable of, but you eventually sometimes get disappointed. That happens. But what I try to judge right in the beginning is that, are you coming here because I'm giving you a 20% salary raise, or are you coming here because you want to really do something different? You want to learn, you want to grow, and eventually you want to build your own startup or grow in 3 years what people in big companies do in 15 years. That's really what I'm looking for. Where people will say, oh, I think we need to solve this problem, and you know what? I will solve it. Rather than saying, oh, Samir, we need to solve this problem, how do we solve it? Those are the kinds of people I like to work with, and I've actually been very, very lucky. One of my employees, Akshay, is here as well, and he's a classic example of people who have actually come in and really, really grown. And I appreciate and I sincerely enjoy working with such people.
So you mentioned about Jay Rawat. So I was watching one of his videos. I just remember. So there was this question I'd like to throw that he asked in one of his talks. So where do you hide a dead body? So anybody what's the best place to hide a dead body? Come on, any guesses? Sorry? In plain sight. Yeah, I mean, make it sit in front. Yeah, of course. Okay, what else? Pardon? So, sorry? In a graveyard, right? Of course, that can be an answer. But so Jay gave a very nice answer to this, and that's what amused me. His answer is on the second page of Google. Because no one looks at second page. Everybody looks at the first page. So, that shows, how much social commerce and, building a startup that, appears in front of people is so much important. And SEO and SEM board is something that not everyone can win, basically. See, there are so many companies with so deep pockets that for any startup it becomes very difficult to be coming on the first page, to be really be in front of people. And that's where I think ShopSocially fits in. So, would you like to, that being said, would you like to tell us a bit about, the success that ShopSocially had with its customers? Like any particular stories that you'd like to share?
So there are actually lots of stories. So we started off with a customer called Cafe Press, and in fact within 2 months of launch, we were already showing 20-30% increases in their revenue. So it was an enormous success. Another thing that we built was something called the viral flash sale, and that was a widget that we kind of built on the side. And today, one company, we don't sell it as a mainstream product, but especially during the shopping season, people sell it to create their own viral flash sales like a Groupon, private Groupon. And one company is doing about $10 million a year just in viral flash sales. So it was, sometimes these unexpected successes happen and they surprise you a lot. There are other successes which we are very happy about, like the loyalty programs that we launched recently. We are seeing a significant uptake in people earning points, coming back to actually redeem those points and buying again and again. So we are seeing examples of that where the program is actually helping the company achieve its vision, which is to actually get people to make repeat purchases. So those are indeed very, very satisfying moments where the customer says, yes, it made a difference to us, and your product helped us to it.
So my next question is especially for serial entrepreneurs. What happens is that an entrepreneur starts one thing, and then the next stage is probably become a serial entrepreneur. So something like I started this thing, now I want to start the other thing. But what troubles most of the serial entrepreneurs or most of the startup founders is, now I have already invested or I am investing time in this startup already. So how do I find time to start something new or to transit from this one to the other one? So which I see that you have done pretty successfully. Like you had one startup, then you started another, then you started another. I mean, it's like a dream journey for an entrepreneur. So Would you like to tell us a bit more about how do you manage this and any advice you'd like to tell, like how to run a business in a manner so that eventually you can eventually be someone where it runs on its own, which you mentioned about your last startup, that you were eventually able to find time that okay, now this is running on its own, I can do a new thing. So how do you manage this?
So Airtag was a special case in the sense that Airtag, we raised about $65 million for that. We hired a CEO, and it took us a little while to get it going. In the sense that the CEO was already running the business very, very well. He was again bringing in operational efficiencies, focusing on the sales and marketing. And that was the time where I figured out that my work is kind of done. And it gets boring at that point for me to just kind of show up in the office and everything is happening by itself. But for most companies, it does not kind of work that way. So the founder's involvement is very, very needed. It is very rare, unless the company goes public or gets to a point, it is very rare that the founder can simply detach and do things. So one advice is do only one thing at one time. Two things don't work. It's just not possible. I mean, I don't know if some people may have the capacity to do so, I don't. The second thing I realized is it is very hard if you're focusing on three different things to do one thing right. And it's very important to pick up that one thing and get it to a point where it is really, really valuable to customers. Until then, you just keep doing it, or you decide for sure that this is not something I want to invest my time. So that is one. The other way I kind of get organizations to a point where they run without my intervention is I like to groom people who will show the initiative. That is very, very important. So when they grow, they actually grow into your role, and that helps you kind of think at a higher level. And at some point, the organization will.
So, Samir, you also mentioned about some big number here, 65 million, right? So, I also saw that, on your other startups also, you have been successfully able to raise funding from a lot of reputed houses. In one of your startups, you raised capital from Sequoia Capital as well. So, would you like to share some wisdom on that with all the buddies?
So, I think today's times are very different. I raised capital in '99 and it took me 11 days to raise money. That was a very different time. 2003 was actually a very hard time when we raised $10 million for Airtag networks. It was actually a difficult time, but again, the product was compelling enough and we were able to do so. It also needed a lot of working capital because we were building boxes. So I had to go to Taiwan and order those boxes and pay those guys $2 million, which I did not have. So I had to raise money to kind of create that working capital. I think today's times are very different. What you will see is that you will see a lot of investment happening at the seed level, and there is a big investment gap where companies like Airbnb or even locally like Ola, you will see like they're raising 500 million. That I still can't comprehend, but it's a winner takes all game. So either you go very big and raise a lot of money, people in the middle tier kind of get left, right? So the idea is that you should delay raising even the seed until you get to a point where you're able to convince yourself that this opportunity is really going somewhere. That's the first thing you should do. And once you do that, at that point you raise seed money to get to a level where you can show that this is a massively scalable business. And that is the point at which you then raise a little more money. Maybe seed can be between 250 to 500,000 USD. And after that, a Series A can be $3 to $5 million. And after that, you can actually think of a much larger raise. A lot of the companies starting off in India, I don't know how the game is going to play out. It's very hard for me to figure that out as well. But they are still with, for example, these delivery startups. With every delivery, they are losing money. And the hope is that they will capture so much customer mind share that eventually it will turn into profitable revenue at some point. That's the game that they're backing on. Those are not the kind of startups I typically feel comfortable with. People have done it very successfully, so all credit to them, but I am more comfortable in the traditional Marwadi style startup where I know how I'm going to make money. Because otherwise, if I can't see the light at the end of the tunnel, then I can't convince myself. But that's me. So that's my suggestion is, given today's times, first prove it out, get the first few thousand or few tens of thousands of users, go raise seed money, get up to 100 to 500k in users or whatever else you do for customers. In case of customers, get some marquee customers, and then raise seed. So that would be the right way to go on. And then once you start scaling up, then money becomes almost a side activity. Your main business has to be growing the revenue and profitability.
So, like you mentioned, Samir, about the times that are changing, because you have so much experience living, working since the time that things just got started. It was all about chips, then it became about desktop, personal computing, then eventually to mobile computing. So, would you like to share any wisdom in terms of what you see is what is your prediction of the future? Like, with the way you have seen things changing from one to another, what are your big predictions?
Frankly, I'm not a big predictions guy, so I don't know.
But any sort of startups or any sort of ideas that you would count big on that, okay, this is something really amazing.
So two areas that I'm going to bet on are mobile and wearables. And those are clearly the real future. If you look at the amount of time let's go back all the way to 95. We had the desktop, but none of us had a really good internet connection. We used to work on 56k dial-ups with those 2-bit phones. And that happened, even after coming back to India in 2004 after the dial-up. So it's been a long evolution, but the amount of time I spent on the computer was actually much smaller, because it's like on 56k dial-up, how much stuff can you do? There's really not much you can do, right? And then kind of came the smartphones, and smartphones, I believe, have been a very disruptive force, because they are no longer about computing in the traditional sense. They are trying to make daily lives easier. From a food delivery startup to something that could be a very cool alarm app. These are the little things that are just making your lives easy. Right? And the amount of engagement that we have on those things is mind-boggling. People are so addicted to it that they will take it out of their pocket just to see if there is a signal. It's like, but they do that. I've seen a lot of people do that with signaling it, like so. But a lot of people do that, and simply because they are so used to looking at their mobile all the time, right? And that is the reason why it is because it's damn useful. A lot of the times, right? Sometimes you waste a lot of time on it, but again, that's a balance one has to strike. And wearables are actually the next level of evolution, where they will automatically give you feedback without you providing any input. Right? Whether it be a Google Glass or whether it be a Fitbit or whatever else is coming, this thing where they will be monitoring you and giving you feedback. You're not sleeping very well, you're exercising too much, you're exercising too less. Those are the kinds of things that don't need my phone. And that, I believe, is the revolution that is coming. Coupled with that is, of course, the Internet of Things. And that makes a lot of sense, because, again, what wearables is to the human body, IoT is to homes, businesses, where feedback is being provided without anybody inputting anything. And that's what IoT is about. And that, I think, is where the big opportunity lies. It's going to transform countries. The way that, we keep talking about smart cities and stuff like that, it's really not that hard to understand what a smart city is. Once you get the basic stuff working, roads have to work, electricity has to be there, then you can make it smarter, but you can't make a system which is broken smart. But IoT is going to kind of fundamentally change some of those things. So I think any device which provides feedback and makes lives easier without humans having to actually provide the input is
On the personal side, it will be about so what's your with all this work around what's your daily routine like, and what you usually do as a practice to be abreast with the latest things that are going on, or keep an eye on the changes that you can do or ideas. So what you do as a personal practice that you like?
Personal practices, you have to stay fit. Because if you're healthy, your mind thinks better. I've found that if I exercise, I'm more energetic. I can think better, and I can be vigorous all day. So that I just went to Samir and came. So it's just a lot more fun. So that is one thing. I've always maintained. A good diet again is very important. In my earlier lives, I worked 18, 19 hours a day, screwed up my sleep cycles, and that's okay until you become 30, 35. After that, your body starts telling that it's probably you need to slow down. And so one thing I've always maintained, as far as keeping abreast of the latest things, I do a lot of reading on the internet, and I find social media to be a great source. I look at Facebook quite a bit. Mainly, there are a lot of these birthday pictures and other stuff. But people also post a lot of articles that they found interesting, and that is oftentimes a great way to get introduced to new stuff that is happening or other people have discovered. And then you discover and you post. So that is kind of the exchange that really helps. But I don't do anything that profound. I just kind of look around, and sometimes I get an idea which either I implement into practice or I at least think about.
Would you like to share a bit on your reading list? Any particular books that you've read or you?
I'm reading Chetan Bhagat's Making India Awesome. I'm a big fan of his work. He is, I think, the same year or 1 year junior to me from IT Delhi. So we have friends through common connections. But more importantly, as a writer, I love his writing. Some people might say it's trash, whatever, but I love his writing. I think he's a good thinker. He writes well. So that's what I'm reading right now.
So I have some rapid fire to you. Okay. So I'll be giving you some questions, and you have to choose between A or B or A. So what does Samir thinks about business plan? Yes or no?
Yes.
So business plan is necessary.
Absolutely.
Crowdfunding.
Good idea.
Co-working space.
Very good idea.
Exit fast or keep on building?
Exit if you get one.
India or US?
Right now, very much India.
iOS or Android?
Android.
Museum or concert?
Museum.
Himalayas or Alps?
Himalayas.
Flipkart or Amazon?
Amazon.
Hollywood or Bollywood?
Both.
Pune or Bangalore?
Pune. Absolutely.
Okay. So that's from me. Before we finish, Samir, would you like to leave some contact details where if someone wants to connect, what is the best way to be connected?
Sure. My email address is Samir, SAMIR, at ShopSocially.com. ShopSocially. So the best way is to just email me. Again, it's SAMIR. If you send it to SAMER, so just SAMIR.
Great. So that's from me.